Picture this. It's 1999, and you're frantically flipping through a leather-bound address book, trying to find your college friend's phone number while your Nokia brick phone sits uselessly in your other hand. The ink is smudged, half the entries are crossed out with new numbers scribbled in the margins, and you realize you forgot to bring the book with you anyway. Meanwhile, in Silicon Valley, engineers are already working on technology that will make this entire scenario as obsolete as a horse-drawn carriage. This is the story of how contact syncing didn't just replace physical address books. It completely obliterated a 1,000-year-old industry worth billions of dollars, leaving behind nothing but nostalgic memories and dusty relics in garage sales. The physical address book industry was a behemoth that most people never thought twice about. By 1995, Americans were purchasing over 45 million address books annually, generating approximately $2.3 billion in revenue across manufacturers, retailers, and related accessories. The Rolodex Corporation alone employed over 3,000 people and controlled 67% of the rotating card file market, while companies like Daytimer and Franklin Covey had built entire empires around personal organization systems that centered on physical contact management. Hallmark produced over 200 different varieties of address books each year, from pocket-sized leather editions to elaborate desk organizers with gold-embossed covers. The industry supported thousands of printing companies, paper suppliers, binding manufacturers, and specialty retailers who depended on the constant need for people to replace lost, damaged, or filled-up address books. Department stores dedicated entire aisles to organizational products, with address books commanding premium shelf space near the checkout counters. And the back-to-school season alone generated over $400 million in address book sales annually, as students and professionals restocked their organizational arsenals. The fundamental problem with physical address books was that they were analog solutions trying to manage an increasingly digital world. Every address book was a single point of failure. Lose it, and you lost everything. Damage it with coffee or rain, and entire sections became illegible. Fill it up, and you faced the nightmare of transferring hundreds of entries to a new book, inevitably losing or miscopying critical information in the process. People maintained multiple address books for different purposes, one for home, one for the office, a small one for travel, creating synchronization nightmares where updated information existed in one location, but not others. The average person spent 47 minutes per month maintaining their address books, according to a 1998 Franklin Covey study, crossing out old numbers, writing in new ones, and reorganizing entries that no longer fit alphabetically. Businesses were even more handicapped, with sales teams carrying multiple binders of client information that became outdated the moment someone changed jobs or moved offices. The inefficiency was staggering. Companies estimated that sales representatives spent up to 15% of their time simply managing and updating contact information across various physical systems. The technology revolution began quietly in corporate America during the mid-1990s with personal digital assistants and early contact management software. Palm Pilot released their first device in 1996, and while it could only store 1,000 contacts, it demonstrated something revolutionary. Your contacts could exist as data rather than ink on paper. Microsoft Outlook launched in 1997 as part of Office 97, introducing millions of office workers to digital contact management for the first time. But the real breakthrough came with synchronization technology. By 1999, Palm devices could sync with desktop computers, meaning your contacts could exist in multiple places simultaneously without manual copying. Nokia introduced contact syncing between phones and computers in 2001, and suddenly your phone wasn't just a communication device, but a portable database. BlackBerry pushed the envelope further with over-the-air syncing in 2003, allowing business contacts to update automatically across devices without any cables or manual intervention. By 2004, the average business professional using these systems could access the same contact database from their phone, computer, and handheld device, with changes made on any device instantly reflected across all others. The consumer tipping point arrived with the proliferation of email and the internet in homes across America. AOL had 23 million subscribers by 2002, and each account included an address book that stored email contacts automatically. No writing, no updating, just click once and the information was saved forever. Yahoo Mail and Hotmail followed suit, creating vast databases of contact information that users could access from any computer with internet access. The introduction of USB connectivity meant that phones could easily connect to computers, and by 2005, most mobile phones included software for syncing contacts with email programs. The convenience was addictive. Write someone's number into your phone once, and it would appear in your email contacts, on your computer, and anywhere else you needed it. Teenagers, who had grown up with technology, began abandoning physical address books entirely, storing hundreds of contacts in their phones, while their parents still struggled with overstuffed Rolodexes. The shift accelerated when phones began displaying caller ID with stored names, making it unnecessary to memorize or look up numbers for frequent contacts. Apple delivered the killing blow with the introduction of the iPhone in 2007 and iCloud syncing services that followed. Suddenly, contacts weren't just synced between a phone and computer, they existed in the cloud, accessible from any device, anywhere, at any time. The iPhone's intuitive interface made adding and editing contacts so simple that even technophobic users could manage hundreds of entries effortlessly. Google entered the fray with Gmail's contact integration and Android's automatic backup systems, ensuring that losing your phone no longer meant losing your contacts. By 2009, Google was storing over 3 billion contact entries for its users, creating redundancy that physical address books could never match. Facebook's massive growth added another dimension. Your social network became a self-updating address book where friends' information changed automatically when they moved or updated their profiles. The concept of manually writing down and updating contact information became as antiquated as using a slide rule for calculations. Smartphones could import contacts from email accounts, social networks, and other phones instantly, making the setup process for new devices completely painless. The death spiral for physical address books was swift and merciless. Rolodex Corporation saw sales plummet 78% between 2005 and 2009, forcing them to lay off over 2,000 employees and close 4 manufacturing facilities. Franklin Covey's paper-based planner division lost $89 million in 2008 alone, leading to a complete restructuring that eliminated their address book product lines entirely. Office supply stores that once dedicated significant floor space to organizational products began shrinking those sections year after year, with Staples reducing address book inventory by 65% between 2007 and 2010. The printing companies that specialized in address book manufacturing faced a brutal choice: adapt to digital printing services or go out of business entirely. Hallmark discontinued 47 different address book designs in 2009, citing changing consumer preferences as demand shifted toward digital solutions. Even the luxury market collapsed, with high-end leather goods manufacturers reporting that address books, once reliable holiday gift items, had become virtually unsellable. The back-to-school shopping season that had generated hundreds of millions in address book sales became dominated by discussions of which smartphones and computers students needed instead. The ripple effects extended far beyond just address book manufacturers into every corner of the organization industry. Paper suppliers lost massive contracts as demand for specialized address book paper vanished almost overnight. Binding companies that had perfected ring binding and spiral binding techniques for organizational products found their expertise suddenly worthless. Retail employees who had spent decades helping customers choose the right organizational systems were retrained for technology support roles or eliminated entirely. The entire ecosystem of accessories, address book refills, alphabetical dividers, protective covers, and carrying cases became obsolete within a few years. Small-town print shops that supplemented their income by producing customized address books for local businesses lost significant revenue streams. Even the greeting card industry felt the impact, as personalized address books had been popular gifts that people actually used and appreciated. But giving someone an address book in 2010 would have been like gifting them a cassette tape player. By 2010, the physical address book industry had been so thoroughly decimated that most young adults had never owned one and couldn't understand why anyone would choose to manually write down information that could be automatically stored and backed up. Smartphone penetration reached 67% of American adults, and virtually every phone included sophisticated contact management that synced across multiple platforms. Cloud-based contact syncing had become so reliable that people carried thousands of contacts without ever thinking about storage limitations or backup strategies. The few remaining address book sales were primarily to elderly users who resisted technology adoption and nostalgic consumers who appreciated them as decorative items rather than functional tools. Social networking had evolved to the point where contact information updated automatically when people moved, changed jobs, or got new phone numbers, eliminating even the basic maintenance that digital contact management had initially required. The transformation was complete. An industry worth billions of dollars had been reduced to a niche market for antiques and novelty items, all because consumers discovered they never wanted to manually manage contact information again once they experienced the convenience of automatic syncing. Contact syncing didn't just replace physical address books, it demonstrated how digital solutions could completely eliminate entire categories of products that people had considered essential for centuries. The speed of this transformation, occurring over roughly 15 years, created a template that would be repeated across dozens of other industries as smartphones and cloud computing matured. Maps, calculators, cameras, music players, books, and countless other physical products would follow the same path toward digital obsolescence, but address books were among the first casualties in this revolution. Today, suggesting that someone manually write down contact information seems as primitive as suggesting they communicate by smoke signals. Yet just 2 decades ago, physical address books were considered indispensable tools for anyone who wanted to stay organized and connected. The industry's complete collapse serves as a perfect example of how technological convenience, once experienced, makes previous solutions seem not just outdated, but almost incomprehensibly inefficient, ensuring that entire ways of doing business can vanish forever in the span of a single generation.